Hello, everyone. Welcome back, or for the first time, to Home Sweet Homebrew. As always, I'm Jurian, and today I'm joined by someone special.
Hello, it's me.
Yes! Nice to meet you.
I'm Jurian's most favoritist DM. You can call me Lilith, or Lily for short. And I am a trans woman. Hello.
Wow. Listen, wow. Words, they are difficult today. I woke up. I'm tired. But today we're here to talk about something. So, as the title suggests, it sounds more serious. For once, I'm going to actually just put Greytower as a title. Today's subject is basically... Don't act surprised like you didn't know.
Oh no.
Oh no, this thing.
This thing.
Oh no,
right.
If only I was prepared. So, basically, for very quick context, in times of old, when I first started
2018.
That is actually a long time ago. When I first started playing D&D 5e, oh my god, I've only been playing for like less than 3 years. I joined a campaign called Glimpses of What Lies Beneath, which now is lying beneath because it's been forever hiatus.
No, it's officially canceled.
Oh, officially canceled. You're right. But while that campaign happened, where I played a character that I've mentioned before in the other episodes, but a half-elf, archfey, warlock, Thanato Lacrima, we explored a place called Greytower, which definitely is the highlight of the campaign, and that's why I want to talk about it.
It's very funny that Greytower is the highlight of the campaign, considering the fact that the campaign ran for almost like 30 sessions after
38?
that point.
Yeah,
well,
I believe that was like maybe in the 10s.
Well, because Greytower was session 10 pretty much on the dot.
Oh, damn.
And then there was like 3 Greytower sessions, and then we ran for like 4 or 5 months after that.
Wait. You're telling me that Greytower was only like 4 sessions?
Yeah. Because you have the session you got to Greytower, you have the session you explored the ruins, you have the session you escaped the ruins, and you have the session that... No, I guess it was 5, because you have the session you did the hospital dungeon, and then you had the last session where you just kind of tied up all the other loose ends.
Out of context, this sounds terrifying. There was the hospital with the terrible mom creatures.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, for me, 4 because
there's a lot to go into in Greytower.
Yeah,
and I don't want to spend the entire episode just talking about, and I did this cool thing, and I did this cool thing, and everyone laughed and liked it.
And then everyone clapped.
Exactly. Like, I don't want it to be that kind of episode.
I mean, listen here. You can boast all the... Who's going to judge you? The 10 viewers who watch, listen here. I know y'all...
I'll judge me. I'll watch this episode.
You watch the episode and just be like, damn,
I'm a fucking loser.
I played D&D for fun. Damn.
But besides all that, I would like to talk about mostly like the stuff I did with Greytower and why it worked and how I tricked all of my players into thinking I did a good job.
Basically, today is going to be the day where I learned that actually this entire thing was just cardboard waiting for a single breath.
That's a lot of my games.
Yeah, same.
I'll be 100% upfront here. If you're a player and you don't know anything about dungeon mastering, don't let this like delude you or like ruin the illusion or anything, but most dungeon masters are using a lot of smoke and mirror tricks on you. It's basically street magic is what they're doing.
Yeah, the street magic, as in, it's like, I can't believe you had this whole thing prepared, and the DM is like still writing stats for a monster. Like, oh yeah, I'm prepared.
The amount of times
and we roll with them.
The amount of times I've like changed monster stats on the fly because I didn't expect something to happen.
It's like, I can't believe my players are kicking that boss's ass. Let me double their HP real quick.
That's not a joke. I do that all the time.
I literally, the first boss in Meteor's Heart, which is my ongoing campaign, literally in the middle, I was like, you know what? Maybe for a first boss, she's actually really weak. It was like a sea hag. And I literally was suddenly she does the thing where she creates a wave. Everyone do me a strength check.
Yeah, that is exactly what I'm talking about.
The second boss also basically did the same thing where she cleared herself of all CC, like basically like every she got grappled and whatever. She just cleared herself and got like a new HP bar, and then the players proceeded to like crit 4 times, and then just like annihilated her.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricks you'd see in any video game boss fight too.
Yeah, basically we're just saying that like it's not that we're bullshitting. We're making it more interesting with like 2 seconds. Like it was just like I have to think of a way to make it so it's not shit.
Yeah, it's when you spend an entire session or series of sessions building up to like a really cool boss encounter, and you end up designing something that's so lame that it loses in the first 5 minutes of the combat. It makes you feel bad. It makes your players feel bad. Nobody really enjoys that. They want the players don't want to instantly win a boss fight. I'm saying this very, very loosely for every player because I know there are players out there that do want that. I don't get you, but you exist.
I don't understand. You're valid, but fuck you.
But
fun fact? Literally, my players. I will have an entire episode about this whole hell adventure, but my players went through my version of hell.
Yeah,
and literally got to the final boss and killed it in 2 rounds. And I'm talking annihilated this bitch. It was like over. Like this creature basically did a legendary action and died.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things being a DM is designing bosses. My trick is always to, let's just say, I give them abilities that don't use the rules the way they're supposed to be used. I like to build very mobile bosses, but the way the rules work, it's very hard to do anything like that unless you specifically write, this creature breaks all the rules. Go fuck yourself.
This creature is meant to be literally your doom.
Yeah. I mean, I ran a one-off recently where the monster actually did have an ability where it could do more or less that. But I also broke the rules because it doesn't say how it can interact with... I'll just say it right now. It's a mirror monster that can go into mirrors.
Oh, nice.
The rules states that it can just kind of phase in and out of mirrors at its will. But it doesn't say how it interacts with, like, other mirrors in that context. And that's where, like, rules is written and rules is intended kind of go out the window because this is a homebrew monster that I stole from the internet. Sorry.
Wait, you just go on the internet and steal? No one else would do that. You're going to internet jails.
Yeah, but so the rules didn't state how it did, like, say, can it go and just pop out of a different mirror? I said yes, because that's really funny, and it was a horror one-shot, and I wanted to fuck with everyone else.
Oh, yes.
But, you know, that was at my discretion. Not every DM's going to make that decision, and I think that's what can make or break a really fun boss fight.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, how you break the rules.
I absolutely, without a doubt, now that I've DM'd enough, absolutely.
You've DM'd for a long time.
Actually, I've been DMing for like over a year and a half.
That's a long time.
I'm actually close to 2 years because in February. But like now I understand when I think about the final boss of the final boss. I guess the final boss Victor of Greytower. I'm like, damn,
the best boss.
I can just see where the bullshit is. I can just see where you just went like
I have his character sheet available for me.
Yeah, I'm sure you like wrote everything, but I can definitely tell that you went like, well, this is how I'm going to really bring that heat.
Okay, so what are you specifically referring to, Jurian?
Everything, fucking Infinite Misty Step. The wall flesh and the fucking chainsaw.
So the infinite Misty Step thing was actually not me breaking the rules.
Oh, I mean, obviously not. What, is it from a specific creature?
It is from a specific creature, to my knowledge. It's a Maragon. I don't think they actually have Misty Step. I think I gave him spellcasting, but I based his spell sheet off of a different monster, which is that some monsters have spells that are at will, which means they can just have it.
Yeah, of course.
They just cast it as much as they want.
Basically, you gave him Misty Step at will.
I gave him an at will Misty Step, which is... I wrote that in there, and I'm like, I'm going to use this. Yeah. I know what I'm going to do.
I'm going to cause problems on purpose.
Yeah. But, like, yeah, read on monsters if you're a DM, and learn what things you can do to have a monster exist within the rules, too.
And if your fight is going wrong, summon 50 million things.
That wasn't because it was going wrong. That was one of his legendary actions.
That was just to make things go insane. That fight was so insane.
Yeah, I guess we should probably explain it for the audience. We're just saying this fight was so cool. This fight was so cool.
God, that whole thing was so cool. Anyway, thanks for coming.
All right, so
yes, to go back, yeah. and now actually explain. Now we've explained the base and framework of how you're going to go about this.
Right.
Go on.
So the fight we're referring to is a man named Victor Mandelvik, has more or less done a lot of bad things in this town. He is a doctor that has been taking very sick people, making them sicker, and killing them. And what he ended up doing with those bodies, because they weren't really put anywhere, and nobody really questioned it because it's kind of a shitty town, Victor took those bodies and he started to try and excuse me. He started to try and bring his dead wife back to life using the processes to make a flesh golem. The whole idea surrounding this is that he had several failed attempts at reviving her. So there's a lot of really fucked up and really scary looking monsters in this town. And the party had kind of started to realize that it was his doing. So what they ended up doing was they went to his home, an old hospital he used to practice in, and went through everything, killed a bunch of shit, your regular D&D game, and then they got into his laboratory, and they were expecting it to be, maybe they fight this regular dude and his flesh golem wife. As it turned out, the fight went a very different direction because I gave Victor one of my favorite magic items that I've ever created, which is basically just a chainsaw sword.
The fucking the PTCD, post-traumatic chainsaw disorder.
I more or less changed the stats of a Vorpal sword so that it could cut limbs off.
Oh yeah, by the way, can I just mention how funny that we basically had a modified Vorpal sword as level 5 characters?
You guys weren't. I mean, yeah, you had a pretty much Vorpal sword, but Vorpal swords are only good in the fact that, yeah, they can instantly kill a monster. I, of course, changed this for the players.
Yeah, of course.
When they got this thing, which I called the Arcane Blade Saw, their fighter got it. I guess he was technically a blood hunter. He had it, and he had to spend an action to activate it, and he had 10 turns to basically use the chainsaw as a chainsaw.
Yeah.
And it did a lot of damage. Unfortunately, I use a lot of monsters that are resistant to a lot of stuff because it was a party of 10 people, and in order to balance a party of 10 people, you have to make a little mean monsters.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was 10, then got reduced to 9, because someone decided to leave, then reduced to... then someone got kicked. God, I'm going to have... I know this probably is not a good episode thing, I need to address one time just player drama in an episode because I feel it's a subject.
Yeah, player drama is a very fun subject. You need to have me on that episode if you do it.
Oh, absolutely. Can we need to talk about this one time? But like the group got reduced to a more bearable number, which I guess was
8.
what? Wasn't it 7?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh wow, damn. Never mind.
8 is still a much more bearable number than 10.
Weren't we 11 at the start or some shit?
No.
No, you're right, because we only the monk and the cleric left.
You
basically.
started with the monk and the cleric. The monk left after session 1. The cleric left after session
No, that's session
15. 1. Yeah, she was only there for like a session, maybe 2.
No, she was there, like she left in Greytower.
No, she didn't.
Yes,
Did
she
she?
left on the boat. Okay, oh
no.
my god. Okay, you know what? We need to go through very quickly the story of this whole Greytower thing.
Okay.
And then after break will be you going through your explanation of everything.
Okay, sure. So I guess I'll talk about Greytower, like in its entirety. Greytower is the whole setup was the party was working for an adventurers guild known as the Black Dawn. They had just done a few missions somewhere, killing some things. It's not really important, and I don't remember what it was. But they were given a request to investigate a small, like in the middle of nowhere town called Greytower, because they stopped communicating with the guild for some reason or another. And the guild heads were a little concerned about that, mostly in the fact that they wouldn't be receiving any money from them. So the party is sent out to Greytower. They make a long trek through a snowy wilderness because they were on the northern side of the continent, and it was getting to the beginning of winter. When they get to Greytower, they first come across an abandoned township. They investigate it. And I basically tricked the party into thinking that this is Greytower when they first get there.
Yeah, because we were convinced. We're like, oh my god, this abandoned village, so terrible. Everything's dead.
Yeah. So they're walking around. There's a bunch of empty buildings. They have an encounter with some brown mold. Because I read the traps page of the Dungeon Mistress guide the day before, and I thought it'd be fun to include brown mold. That's genuinely the only reason why that was there. And then me
it also provided a good explanation, but also me as a goddamn genius, Arcana checks help and nature and everything, so I used a ray of frost on them to, I'm just that much of a Chad.
You killed the brown mold, and then the party's... Who was the one that suggested the seance? Was it you, or was it like...
No, because
was it the druid?
Probably druid, because what I did was do the misty step upward into the tower to get some stuff.
No. This is before all that. The seance in the first little abandoned village. Okay, so if that's the case, then it was probably Riddich the druid.
Yes.
So they decide. There's a lot of weird energy around here. I basically hinted the entire time that there was some kind of spiritual shit going on. I think I alluded to stuff moving when it wasn't there or another.
Definitely.
It's hard to remember because I don't take notes when I make my games. My entire prep process is putting images on a board and saying I know what I'm going to do when I see this image.
I can't wait for the time where I have to explain the entire story of Meteor's Heart, and I go, and then something happened, but I'll remember.
Yeah, and I blame my prep process on ADHD. But anyway, they have the seance. They encounter a banshee. I have a weird little story thing involving the mayor fucking something up or another. It's not important and doesn't actually matter in terms of Greytower. What it does introduce, though, is that this isn't Greytower. This is a different town, and there's Greytower's further down the road. So after that, the party goes down the road, explores the forest. I have a little moment of the Mario 64 Infinite Staircase kind of gag. So the
where
party's
forest is
constantly
infinite.
passing by the same tree.
Yeah, also, I love how your definition of just down the road is like, oh yeah, through this haunted death forest.
Well, it's down the road because of what happens at the end of Greytower.
Yeah, I know. This fucking reveal destroyed me.
So they managed to get through the forest using the wizard's detect magic and just the fact that he's a pretty good wizard.
Actually,
Surprisingly,
wasn't that someone who got like a nat 20 on Arcana or some shit?
it's something like that. They get through the forest and they actually make it to Greytower. And I think that's where I ended that session after like the party like explored the ruins outside of the town, found a vampire child and decided to mercy kill him.
Yeah, I almost forget this part. I almost forget we didn't encounter a single person yet. Not even a single, like, we didn't go into Greytower directly. We immediately mercy kill a vampire child.
Yeah, because Greytower is, if anything, a lot of cool moments, but a not cohesive narrative, especially towards the beginning.
Yeah,
and that's mostly because Greytower was a passion of mine. Like the stuff I did in Greytower was like a passion for like horror as a genre, rather than I want to make a good story like that makes sense. I want to make a good story that'll leave an impact.
As a story, I would say it definitely felt a little like, I guess in hindsight, a little SCP, as in like, oh, this cool place that has a lot of different, very interesting things that you can interact with, but ultimately they're
are
just
inconsequential.
They're not necessarily connected, and what is connected is like we didn't get to see a lot of like finished threads because of what Greytower is.
Yeah. And I will say 100% that ending was oh god, I need to connect all this. How the fuck do I do this?
I swear to God, if I learned that the fucking like the most impressive reveal of the entirety of this goddamn campaign was you being like, what can I find inside of my ass right now?
No, I mean, it did make sense like in my head, and like all of this is. I don't want to go be like really mean to this because Greytower is still one of my best campaign sessions.
Child.
But as someone who's has stopped touching this for nearly a year and a half, I can look back and say I could probably have done that a little better.
Yeah, I could. You know, it's so funny because I can probably resume what happened in Greytower in like what 2 minutes.
Yeah, I can go ahead and quickly run through it real quick.
Yeah, because the rest is pretty much just like exploring.
The party spends almost the entirety of their time in Greytower exploring, and the trick I used is that instead of making a bunch of maps, I put a bunch of images that represented where they were on the as like separate pages. We used Roll20. So every single map is it's a grid that has a big ass picture on it, and the party's tokens are on there so that they can like see that their characters are there, but other than that there's no interaction on the actual map. A lot of it was theater of the mind exploration. There was a bunch of scary quotation marks scary moments where like the party realizes there might be a cult in the town. The party realizes there's children going missing. There's a plague. The lake in the middle of the town is completely black and filled with monsters. The middle of the island ruins is full of big cult stuff, dead bodies, and a giant monster. It's not particularly important because all of the components of Greytower as a story don't actually mean anything.
They basically just paint the place itself. They're not like a huge story. They're basically just elements. So basically like, oh, we have, here's the bank and here's the grocery store and here's the giant monster that eats the children.
The reason why Greytower I think is so it lasts as much as it does is because I was very heavily inspired by Curse of Strahd. I didn't want to make a place that you go in and you leave. I wanted to make a place that is meant to be explored and played in.
I need to read Curse of Strahd one day.
Curse of Strahd is good. That is all I will say on Curse of Strahd this episode, because I could go on about Curse of Strahd.
Next episode.
But to move on, the party talks to a church guy. He says, oh, there's some pretty fucked up stuff. You should go talk to the doctor or go to the lake, because I was pointing them in one of two directions. They decided to go to the lake, and that was probably the better option they could have started with, because the lake was ultimately kind of weak.
Wasn't doctor first? No, you're right. Never mind.
You went to the doctor, you talked to him, and then he directed you to the lake too.
Yeah, and then I, like an absolute beast, spent a full solo hour with my character sneaking. I will never get over how good I was at using Misty Step.
Yes, so Jurian's whole scene here, they go to the doctor's practicing building that's in town, not on the outskirts of town. They talk to him, he tells them to go to the lake. Jurian's character decides, I'm gonna be a little crime girl. And so he has his character explore the inner workings of this hospital area, and he finds a journal entry and a mannequin. The mannequin was enchanted with a transmutation magic mouth spell, so whenever the mannequin was touched, it would say, I think it said, I love you, Victor Mandelvik, or something like that.
Yes. Can I just say to every single player here who's ever been a player, even like DMs who've been player before, is there nothing more stressful than when your DM just goes, hey, roll a D100? It's like, there's no modifiers on this. Am I dead? Like, and then that was just me accidentally tripping and touching the shoulder, and it just goes, I love you, Victor. I'm like, I'm leaving.
A lot of this is like horror movie tricks that I pull. The journal entry had some pretty disturbing stuff. The most notable thing is that when Jurian was reading the journal entry, he started at the beginning, he's reading through, there's an entry where he talks about his wife dying, and then he gets to the last page that was written in, and it said, like, I think that's like, he talked about his wife and child dying, and then the most recent journal entry is him saying that he sent his daughter to, like, his daughter was grounded or something like that.
Yeah, it was like, well, isn't she supposed to be, I don't know, maybe it's just my hunch, dead? And then I definitely was like, I'm gonna take this journal. And then really tried to like conceal the fact that I took this journal, and then got like a nap fucking too.
Okay, so I found what I wrote down, because I made a handout that was named that journal entry to sell in the whole full circle thing. The line was specifically, Telluri Mandelvik, his daughter, is in her room. She is grounded tonight. And that was like the last journal entry, and it was very clinically written, which is weird because the previous pages were pretty emotional.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't like this man, and then I have to go back, acting like, I'm back. I found the bathroom. Anyway, let's go, y'all. We have to go to the lake, right? Anyway, nice decoration here.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So the party ignores that for a while. They go to the lake. They explore the ruins. They get the flowers for medicine that the doctor asked them for.
And then we get murdered.
And then they go to the central ruins where there's a large Greytower. Haha, the town is named Greytower. Anyway, so they explore these ruins. They run into a cult activity, and they summon a massive creature that is called the Keeper of the Ruins, and is just a monster that I repurposed.
Fucking Nightwalker.
So the reason this whole section is the best thing in this is that what I did, and it's something that you can do, but don't always do it, or your players will feel that it's a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, is that I had the players explore a map, like a very large dungeon map, before they ran into the cults. I had them go all the way through. It was basically just a linear map, but they had some rooms they could explore and see some cool things. They got a magic item or two. And when they got to the cult, this creature was summoned, and the party basically drew its aggro, more or less. Most of them ran, but their tanks decided to be in front so that they could get away.
Oh, the druid got insta-wrecked.
Yeah, the druid instantly was killed, quotation marks. The Keeper of the Ruins is a night... It's not a night walker, necessarily. I can't remember what the name of the monster is, but it's based on the gargantuan undead that was introduced in Mordekainen's Tome of Foes.
Yeah, isn't that the Nightwalker?
Let me check.
It's like a CR20 monster. Like, you showed me the image.
Yes, it's the Nightwalker. Yeah, okay, it is the Nightwalker.
It's a good creature. It's a very good creature.
Yeah, so then I based it on the Nightwalker. The thing that I changed, though, is that when the creature gets you, you're basically instantly taken out of the fight. You're gone. Bye-bye. You do not technically exist on the map anymore.
Yeah.
And so the party their numbers were starting to dwindle as I was having to both calculate the people running away and the people getting gatted, essentially.
Yeah, getting literally vaporized out of existence?
Yeah. So as like the last person in the party was running, she decided to hide in a room.
That was me, by the way.
Yeah, that was Jurian.
That was me and the cleric. So Warlock and the cleric both tried to hide, but sadly the cleric with heavy armor gets disadvantage on stealth and gets fucked. While I'm like, oh, I'm golden. I'm safe. I am literally. I can't believe I just pissed on this creature with my Warlock, and I use invisibility too, like hiding in a specific room, and then I get DM'd.
Let me say this. As a DM, you should never do this to your players. It is one of the worst things you can do. I basically said, none of this matters. The things that you did to get away didn't work, and I did this whole sequence just to fuck with you. The only reason why I think I will say that I got away with it in this sense is because I didn't kill the players. I instead did the funniest fucking twist in this entire little series of sessions. I got Jurian's character said, oh, the creature can detect auras or something. It's not in the monster.
Oh my God.
I bullshitted it.
I can believe this monster has true sight through walls. It's like,
yeah,
okay.
that's exactly what I said. But when the players woke up, they didn't die, obviously. They woke up and they were turned into little foxes for an entire session.
And fun fact, it didn't even matter because I wasn't there that session. I was moving. Yeah, I was moving, so the Firefox episode of Greytower, I basically wasn't there, so like I didn't need to be killed, but like we didn't know that, obviously, at the time.
None of us would have known that.
But
the entire reason why I did it like this was basically I wanted to have a little Metroid Castlevania section where the party didn't have all their cool powers, so they had to do stuff in a weakened state.
Watch me be bitter, by the way.
It wasn't that fun.
Was it not?
I did get... Well, it was fun, but every single person who was there's response was, I feel like we didn't have to do this. And they were right. We didn't have to do this. I just wanted an excuse to put them in a room with a big scary statue and not have them instantly kill it.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, like, at this point, like, we weren't that strong, but in
there
5e,
were 10 of
even
you.
But even if you remove magic items, like, okay, like magic items and like even if you remove every single piece of equipment, like, who cares?
Yeah. I basically, what I did is when I had them turn into foxes, I gave them the ability of these fox monsters, which again I stole from the internet, which was that they had a bite and they had the ability to shoot a basically firebolt.
And then we also
and then I let
had,
them take one ability from their character sheets to transfer to this fox. They could access one ability. The healer took the healing ability. The blood hunter took the blood hunter. They basically just took the most important class ability from their sheets.
Except for me, who I was like a level 5 warlock. So the only goddamn thing I had to save myself was, hey, your level 1 warlock archery feature will be fine, right? And I was like, not really, but I guess I don't really have a choice, do I?
You got Fey presence.
Wasn't that level 1 warlock? Like,
that is the level. Okay, I was confused.
It's like the you mean the worst ability in the game? Where it's like, hey, when I have the weakest range, the weakest zone ever.
It's not a good ability, no.
It's not good. I mean,
sorry,
obviously, that was
Fey
fun.
Warlock. I love the flavor of you, but Fey presence sucks.
Fey presence sucks, but everything else is amazing. Like, I love the level 7 feature where you can just escape your death.
Yeah. So the party does this. They get out. They run into some dude in the forest that I don't even have a character sheet for, so I can't even remember what I fucking called them. They are... I know what they're supposed to be, which they're supposed to be druids that were more or less the people who natively lived in the area and were kicked out by people who colonized it.
The druid met them.
The what?
The druid met them at some point. Like, our druid.
Yeah. They were turned into not foxes. And then they did some stuff.
I love that you're looking at your notes so intensely I can almost hear it.
It's just, there's just a bunch of shit in here. I'm a very scatterbrained DM.
Oh, God. You know what? Basically, after that, when I came back, we went, you know what? That doctor bitch, like, we got fucked. We just got annihilated by this keeper. So let's go the other direction.
Yeah, they didn't want to go back to that island.
So we went like, let's not die again. So instead, we went through the entirety of a very nicely crafted dungeon, but it's the kind of dungeon where every time you open a door, you're like, I wish I didn't open this door. Because every time there's just like another awful creation. You're like,
yeah.
I love them though. The images you found were so creepy. And I believe one of them was like literally a Junji Ito image.
I actually don't think that's true.
It's at least a horror manga for sure.
Which
the bathroom one.
The bathroom one was not from a horror manga.
Oh damn! Wow.
The bathroom one was from Pinterest.
Wow. Well, I mean, yeah, damn. But basically, we went through the dungeon. We fought what the Victor fight we talked about earlier, which basically we discovered that like his whole wife thing. Obviously, like every creation was his wife, and we also discovered a room where a certain someone was grounded, a doll of his daughter. That's
not a doll specifically, a marionette doll.
Marionette, which had, well, I mean, I guess that's kind of
puppet on the strings.
Yeah, puppet on the string in French. Marionette's a French word as well. I know, I'm listen here. And still had some kind of a consciousness because she definitely knew that something was wrong. And so before she could say anything important, she got yanked away. And then
she said just enough important stuff for the party to know something fucked up was happening.
Yeah. It's like, oh no, I'm done exposing all that good. Don't take me away. No, I've exhausted my dialogue options.
Like, again, horror movie trick.
Of course. I'm here to tell you the only important thing. Had a nice music box experience where it was basically the DM's way of being like, hey, I know y'all elves aren't supposed to be magically put to sleep, but y'all want a long rest or nah?
Yeah, I gave them a free long rest before this fight because I knew it was going to be necessary.
It was worth it because that fight took everything. It took someone's arm, it took someone's leg, it reduced so many people to 0 HP and then get back up because of healing. It was a very good fight. It had a wall of flesh, and the cool thing is that the limbs that were lost during that fight actually impacted the game throughout.
Yes, Greytower's entire purpose was so I could steal people's limbs.
I mean, listen here, there's so many hands needed. And then we, during the entirety of this adventure, learned about some kind of ritual with the moon and whatever. That's like a whole going on thing.
I wanted to introduce moon cults.
Yeah, of course.
But because the game never finished, the moon cult stuff never got anywhere.
Yeah,
but
sadly.
I did close Greytower up. Moon Cult exists. Moon Cult summons a big monster. Big monster is a retextured Oblex. I think.
Yeah. I love that goddamn reveal.
Yes. So the party realizes the whole like time limit on them being in Greytower was that there was supposedly something that was going to happen when all 3 moons of the world went into a full lunar cycle. I literally changed the world's lore for Greytower because of this. But when all 3 moons became full, everything went to shit. Everything that the party had seen and encountered was starting to just beat the shit out of each other. Cultists were fighting town guards were fighting monsters were fighting cultists. It's the whole shebang. The party goes to the center church of town, climbs up the bell tower, and at the top is the friar and a giant monster that I called the Lunar Fiend. And the party is then revealed that this Lunar Fiend has basically had its roots planted into this town for so long that nobody who actually lived here exists anymore, and it is simply creating a facsimile of what their lives were like before the party had been there.
AKA, we're reliving the city as it once was.
Yes.
Every monster... cultist, everything except for 2 people, which one of them was the friar, who like his whole plan was basically realized, and the second one was another man of the whole, like, I guess the faith of that place, but he was sent there because he was like investigating, I guess.
He was the brother of one of the guild leaders of their guild,
basically. And and then when all of this shit just went off the fucking rails, we basically just got snapped back to that that village that we started at, the winter village where everything was gone with the brown mold. And we're just basically told, so the distance between that village and Greytower is like a kilometer, but the forest was made magically to look bigger.
Yeah, the monster that was the Lunar Fiend had the access to another monster that was like an illusory spore monster the party never met. It wasn't important. The only cool important thing is that everything was connected and nothing mattered.
Exactly. I love the fact that it's basically like the reason why this shit didn't matter is because it was just a recreation, so it didn't matter how... It didn't matter what the ending we provided. It didn't matter if we killed Wisteria. It didn't matter if we died to the Keeper of the Ruins. It didn't matter if we stopped Victor Menelvik, because that shit just didn't matter anyway, because they were all fake. Oh my god.
The only thing that matters is that there was a big bad that was introduced. Never got to fight the big bad, but it was introduced.
I mean, the big bad was a little bit of a fight, I guess, but
it was a monster that had it was a monster that had no stats, and it shot lasers at the party and ran away.
Yeah, the friar basically transformed into a creature, which was supposed to be the last boss of the game.
Yeah, but the game got canceled, so it's not important.
Wait, so by the way, just want to make sure. Are you sure you didn't take the Lunar Fiend from the Tome of Beasts?
The what?
The Lunar Fiend, because there is literally a Lunar Fiend in the Tome of Beasts.
No, I just retextured an Elder Oblex.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't own Tome of Beasts.
You need to correct that. I did a full review and you didn't buy it yet.
No, I have a pirated copy of Tome of Beasts. Don't pirate.
No,
anyway, don't pirate and end the recording.
This podcast is sponsored by not pirates.
We'll come back after a break.
Yeah, of course. Hello everyone, it's ad time, my first ever ad on the podcast. Today I want to talk to you about a YouTube channel by Lilith and her friends called The Fable Few. It's a gaming and podcast network channel kind of deal. It's a few people who do gaming series, some just like little one-shots that are beautifully edited, some streaming as well that they post, and obviously podcast, which I've actually been a guest on one of their episode. It's very entertaining. I find them extremely funny. I adore these people. The editing, the editors, the actual people who play the games, just the commentaries are just it's beautiful food for the brain and the entertainment. So if you want to check it out, I absolutely recommend starting with a series called My Summer Car, which is my personal favorite. So I will leave the links to the series itself and the actual channel down below, and as well as the Twitter if you want to follow it as well. With that, back to the podcast.
Anyway, so that's what happened when I shoved an entire... Oh, hi!
Dramatic
That was
sigh.
an example of smoke and mirrors. See, I started by telling a story that I actually wasn't telling anyway.
My God. But what did you shove? Now I'm confused.
That's the trick.
Oh my God, I'm left bewildered and beguiled. Anyway, welcome back from the break. So glad you're still with us and you're not... Don't dislike the video, please.
I'm sorry that we talked about my apparently best D&D session for almost an hour.
Oh, listen here. I'm sure people will love it.
Oh, sure. And if not, they'll be forced to listen to it if they want to listen to the backlog.
Exactly. Listen here. You're our viewers. We owe you. We own you. Sorry.
We don't owe you anything.
Yeah, we owe you some content is all. Yeah, of course. But yes, now we're back from the break.
Yeah.
I definitely want to know about the smokes and mirrors of Greytower.
So I can tell you outright, one of the first big things with smokes and mirrors is that almost the entire session was improv. Almost every single thing I did was improvised bullshit.
That feels very on brand with this channel in general.
Well,
it's all improv, always has been.
So, for instance, the first area with the brown mold, I didn't have a single thing written down for that place. Not a thing. All I had was there was an inn, and that was in my brain. I didn't write anything down. So when the party went into this inn that I made up in my brain, I'm like, okay, so what's going to be in here? What are they going to do? And they said, I want to explore the inn. I'm like, oh god, I have to make content now. And so I'm like, oh, I remember reading about brown mold in the Dungeon Master's Guide the other day. I'll just do something with brown mold. It'll be fine. And I didn't realize I had to look up the rules for brown mold.
I'm literally mouth agape realizing this. I never thought that this entire thing was improvised. In fact, I thought it was probably the least improvised thing of the entirety of it.
Technically, that's true.
that feels worrying.
Well, so... Oh, wait, are you talking about specifically this inn area?
No, just like the...
Oh, Greytower in general.
No, not Greytower, but I'm talking about, like... Greytower, yes, but I'm talking about, like, the village part before.
Oh, the abandoned town is... Yes, that is the most improvised, probably out of all of Greytower, because I had nothing written down for it. All I had was one picture, and it was a picture I stole from Pinterest. I put on a D&D map, and I said, this is where you guys are. That's the one thing I prepped for that session.
I don't believe we even had an image for the banshee you put in front of us.
No.
Damn.
I didn't really prep anything for that. The entirety of that section was, okay, I'm going to have the party explore a little bit, and then I'll direct them to Greytower. I didn't expect you guys to spend 2 hours here trying to seance a place that I didn't have any content for. But I made the content.
I didn't expect y'all to think the things I made were interesting. So sorry.
I mean, I wasn't even trying to direct you out of it, because I was pretty confident that I could make something up.
I mean, that is like the DM energy. I feel like this entire podcast has one lesson, and it is exclusively you can improvise and bullshit so much of D&D. Here's what you have to make, and that's it. Like, as long as you have images, stats, and like some like dungeon layouts and everything done, you're basically good.
Yeah, the whole thing about tricking your players into thinking you did more work than you actually did is putting some high-quality PNGs in front of them and saying, look at this.
Oh my god, there's a body there. Do you want to expect a body? I have so much stuff ready. Can you roll me a Constitution saving throw? Meanwhile, you're like, well, what do I do if they fail? What do I do if they succeed? Roll me perception, lol.
I never ask for a saving throw roll unless I know what the pass and fail results are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I do approximately. Sometimes
even if I make them up inside of my head, never ask for a roll from your players if you don't know what happens if they pass or fail. Like, if you only have a pass state in mind, don't fucking ask for the roll. Like, the only thing I can think of that, like, people consistently do that for that, like, is technically encouraged is lockpicking.
Yeah, of course. No, to me,
there is a fail state. You don't unlock the lock.
Yeah, of course. No, to me, it's I hate when DMs are just like, I've stopped doing it mostly. I hate when people ask for perception checks. Like if a DM asks for a perception check, it's like they don't see the thing. They got a 5. Don't make it so there's like a glint of something. Like, you're really hoping they find that fucking ring of protection you put on their way.
The thing is that DMs don't really use passive perception DCs.
Well, the problem with me, for me, it's I will use passive perception exclusively when it comes to just in general, like the stuff you would hear if you were just like not really paying attention.
Yeah.
So people who are stealthing, you'll hear them if they try to stealth and they fail. Then I will do stuff like you see things around you very well. If you have a fucking like 26 passive perception, I'm looking at you, my druid character.
Passive perception. We're not. This isn't a passive perception video or anything. But passive perception is one of the least utilized things in the game, despite the fact that it literally exists as a passive DC success.
I will supersede you. Passive investigation.
Passive investigation isn't even within the rules. It's only stated in one line in the player's handbook.
That is still a rule.
It's not a rule.
Well,
I don't believe that was a rule. I think that was like a flavor text.
I mean, yeah. I mean, listen here. The thing about you can only throw one spell, even if it's a bonus action and an action spell, is only one line as well. It's still a full rule, though.
That I ignore.
I am. I also consider cunning action to be a different action than bonus because I'm an idiot who didn't know.
Oh, I don't like that one.
The mistake I made?
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. I'm a fool. I'm a ran.
See, the thing is that if you ever make a rule fuck up, just change it.
It's too late. I realize it like session 50, like 40 or 50. I was like, you know what? My rogue already has so much trouble. Like I thought with Arya's always like, I suffer. Why am I here? Just to suffer so much. I'm like, I'm going to remove the one thing that makes you so like meet the requirements for being strong in this game.
I mean, if it's fun for your game, make it fun. I don't care.
Exactly.
I wouldn't do that.
Meteor's Heart is like power play. It's power gaming. But yeah, Greytower.
So Greytower. Anyway, the whole smoke and mirrors thing.
Yeah, you just got done talking about how much the PNGs are beautiful and glossy.
Yes, after the abandoned township, they go to the roadside wilderness. I stuck them on a map for another hour and just had them. I described them walking and walking and walking, and hey, that tree looks familiar, and walking and walking, and until one of the players said, "Can I make a check? Is that tree familiar?" And I said, "It is. It's the same tree. You've passed it 5 times."
I think someone also went like, "I'm putting something on the ground," and then when they came back, there's like something on the ground.
Yeah, no. Another trick is letting your players direct the action.
Yes.
Is for this whole section, I basically most of this game really I took a step back and let the players direct me, mostly because there was 8 of them. That's a lot of players, and you don't really have the time as a DM to micromanage 8 players.
Yeah, okay.
You can do it easier with a smaller group.
We were still 9 at the time. We're still 10, because the monk was still there.
I am going to say 8, because I'm looking at the maps that I have, and I only have 8 people on them.
I know, because you're a fool. No, can I just quick tangent?
Of course.
If you're a DM, listen here, anyone. Listen here. Every single DM who's listening to us, if you're a DM and you're like, I can handle 9 people in my game as a players, stop.
I can.
Stop it. Like,
I can do that.
Yes, because the only reason it worked is because we basically had 2 players who were cardboard cutouts there to speak sometimes.
No, I mean, I genuinely can handle like 10 players. I always started playing D&D with a lot of players as a dungeon master. When I first played D&D, I had a 7-player party.
I mean, my first campaign I started DMing in 5e. I would say the only real campaign was Meteor's Heart, which started with 7 players.
Exactly. It's not that you can't you can handle big groups. It's not that hard, but don't put yourself in a position where, I can't actually handle having this many players. Game's canceled.
Just a second.
Yeah. So here's my secret little thing. I actually cheat so much as a dungeon master. I've said this already. I'm just putting this in here so Jurian has something funny to laugh at while he's editing. So, I cheat so much. One time, the monster was at 0 HP, and then I just let it keep going down into negative numbers until I thought it was okay. It was very funny. The monster was like a boss, so it went to like negative 400 HP. That's so many negative HPs. That's too many negative HPs. Don't be like me. Well, be like me. I'm pretty cool, but like...
You're giving yourself a pep talk over here?
No.
I've been hearing some words. By the way, I heard you be like, I'm just saying this so Jurian can laugh later. And I'm like, but I don't know what you said before. I heard negative HP.
I was talking about
I got a nice letter. Let's open it. It's official material from the government. I'm kidding.
Okay.
No, so, God damn, what was it? My ADHD brain.
Oh, I can tell you what I was talking about because I was still talking. So I stopped talking at a lot of players. Oh, yes, I did want to say something about that. Okay.
Obviously, when you have a lot of players, you can't have like I do a lot of roleplay. Like my games are like roleplay power gaming.
Yes.
The thing though is when I had 7 players, it was hard to have any sort of like that's the thing that you do well is that you do provide moments for characters like to be like either like in a duo or like alone. They're like I had a moment alone with Stanato that was probably like my only like really big gameplay moment that I was alone. Mm-hmm. But like I had some like moments where I was like talking duo with other players, and then but there wasn't like any like 2-hour long solo scenes where one person goes through the process of like realizing they've become an adult. And instead it's not about necessarily their backstory, it's about what's going on. So it's just character interactions about Greytower that happened. Like we had some really cool interactions between like Holland and Riddich at some point, I believe.
Yeah. The problem with having a big party will always be that roleplay can suffer a lot. Roleplay is probably one of the most difficult things to balance with a big party. I can make a very quick example and then move back on to what I would say regarding anything else. Is that the one example I can give about this specific campaign is that later on I included a player's personal backstory as a motivator for the plot. While that did work and it was a good part of the game, a lot of stuff began to suffer and fall apart because there were 7 other players. So it was this week and the next week and the one after, it's like, okay, we understand this player's backstory is important. I am so fucking sick of it. I want my backstory to be important. But nobody said that. Nobody said that outright. But everybody was thinking it.
I mean, actually, I would say...
I know one player definitely wanted me to go into his fucking backstory.
Oh, we're keeping that one for player drama.
Of course.
But...
I wasn't even talking about that player.
Oh, also, can I just say... Are you talking about me?
No, I'm talking about the Blood Hunter.
Oh, that's what I was thinking about.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the cleric.
Oh, the cleric can eat shit anyway. I just really like vague tweeting. Like, what am I vague tweeting?
Vague tweeting on Jurian's podcast about problematic players.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
hashtag. No, so what? The campaign got canceled. Literally the session before we finally got to like my backstory.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You want to know what the worst thing about it is?
No, what?
I don't remember a single thing about what I wanted to do for your backstory.
Great. It was probably going to be a lot of hating my parents.
Yeah, something like that. You know, party got an airship. Jurian's parents paid for it because they got the bill. I don't know. Not important.
Yeah, my character straight up used their family name to get a full airship, and the DM went, yeah. Because I'm called a warlock with a nice charisma score.
Mm-hmm. But circling back around to the topic at hand.
Yeah.
The reason why a big group can be consistent and work with each other and have good roleplay is if your DM lets them do that. The reason why everyone had so much fun with Greytower is because no matter what stupid thing they wanted to do, I let them do it for the most part.
Yeah. The heist.
Two players want to try and heist the church and find out there's a secret blood cult underneath it. Sure. None of that was planned. I didn't even know that I was going to put a blood cult under the church until they decided to go into the church.
And then use a fucking Bloodborne image because...
I guess. I don't know. I never played it.
You used one of the hunter from it, and when I saw that image, I was like, "This is Bloodborne," because of my reaction to everything.
Yeah, so they did that. You know, what this player wants to explore the hospital that I only have 5 rooms for, and those rooms are the rooms the players are currently in. Sure, I can make something up.
I'm sure I can improvise.
I mean, I can.
Quick, my loot table.
I didn't even use loot tables for half of that game.
Yeah, of course. You had like you created magic item. It was pretty good.
Yeah, but
I can't wait for that dagger to be useless.
But like the whole smoke and mirrors is that none of this stuff exists until the players ask me about it, and then it does exist. Damn. It's like it's a good trick. Is that technically as a dungeon master you are actively creating content that would never exist otherwise.
Of course.
When your players interact with something, your job should be to create content that is just as vexing and interesting as the stuff you would make before they ask.
That is pure wisdom.
Of course it is. It's also something that I learned after 3 years of fucking up.
Yeah, and that's how players don't realize that you're making shit up, because it's the same quality and style that you're always making. That's one of the reasons why I guess it wasn't really working, because session 2, I basically improvised more than half the session of my campaign, and players literally didn't know until I told them. Like when people were like, this was probably, it's still like one of the best moments in the entirety of the campaign, even though it was session 2. And
right.
My players are like, Greytower with you. Like it's only like session 10 in the campaign and the session 38.
Mm-hmm.
I cry.
Yeah. But I mean, I didn't even get to go into the fact that the druid was horny for a horrible shark sea nymph.
There's always that. Can you believe it? That the horny one was not the bard. Actually, I don't think there wasn't even a bard
in that party.
You're right. We had everything except for barbarian, sorcerer, and bard. Yeah. We had every class on that, I believe.
Yeah, because you would have had only 2 missing, but you had a blood hunter as one of your players, so a little...
Exactly. Well, which I guess counts for fighter.
Yeah, but going into that, more smoke and mirrors, most of my maps, if there's rooms that I don't want the players to, like, try and even fucking bother exploring, I don't, like, do something like, put an invisible wall up. I will just leave that part of the map open, and I will just have it, like, fade to black and be like, there's nothing there. Don't go there.
Yeah, it's like, listen here, listen.
See, that's not even smoke and mirrors. That's just me straight up telling them there's no content there.
Yeah, I love when, as a DM, you just straight up have to sometimes just go, don't. Oh, last game, I'm playing a different campaign. Literally last game, me and another player were like, let's do this one thing. Maybe it'll result in something good. And then the DM was just like, let's not waste time. This is useless.
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
I know the entirety of the manor, whenever there was like an outside segment, like the only stuff that was made with grass is the stuff you'd see.
Yeah, of course.
Like, it feels a lot like making a video game like map for like a Half-Life map or something, where like, oh yeah, the geometry just stops existing after this point.
Yeah,
nobody will go there, so it doesn't matter.
You save yourself some sweet.
I used to make maps have every single contingency, and then I realized that was a waste of fucking time.
Yeah, because like if you can't see an angle, no matter from which window you're looking, like why would you put the most intricate model there?
Yeah, it's good advice. Don't make stuff you're not going to use.
Yeah. Oh, that's one thing though. Good advice. But also, don't be afraid to make stuff that might not get used, just in case. Like,
and don't force your players to find it either.
That's what I said earlier about the fucking perception check. It's like, you made a custom ring. Maybe you should have put it in the official boss loot instead of hiding in a toilet and hoping your players
look into that toilet for some reason.
It's like, you plunge your hand in the toilet, you got a ring of the princess. Like, no. Like, players might just not. Look, the DM of that game I play has something special that they call the strange tokens, that are basically like a specific currency for a specific shop. And it's like, oh, well, you've missed a strange token. It was like in the wall in that one room. It's like behind the statue. It's like behind the statue. Well, sometimes because we ask, but like behind the statue, it's like, why would I suddenly just push a statue? There was no reason for me to push a statue.
It's like the fucking Korok seeds. Now, haha, yes. You found the thing I hid in this stupid place.
It's like, haha, I can't believe you've burst in this circle of rocks. I'm here. Like, oh.
Yeah.
It's like,
I don't know. DMs are really funny sometimes.
Yes, we are DMs. We're really funny. I'm sure people laughed a lot at this podcast. Instead of being like, wow, y'all being really self-indulgent over here.
Of course we're being self-indulgent.
Of course. But
I'm a guest here. This is the first guest spot. You cannot take this away from me.
It's my guest episode, and I decide the discussion topics. But yeah, I mean, if anything, this podcast is basically just it's me and other people talking about whatever the heck we want.
Yeah.
Hoping that maybe someone who's watching will go like, a Greytower, you say? Maybe I should include it.
And while this is like, you know, a Greytower episode, there is just a lot of... I am just willing to give a lot of dungeon mastering advice.
Of course. We need like entire episodes that are just like... I mean, I don't want to do one of those videos because I'm not that kind of channel. It's like, top 15 tricks to be a good DM.
Oh, I will say...
They're good videos, though. I'm not shitting on them, I swear.
The reason why I have as much good practice in my dungeon mastering as I do is because I watched, like, fucking DM tips or whatever that channel's called with the British fucker with the...
Oh my!
How to be a great DM. How to be a great DM. That's the channel.
I watch a channel with like the fucking British fuck.
It's the only British D&D channel I watch, so that's all I know him as. He's How to be a great DM and How to be a great player. Those two channels. That dude has a lot of good advice. I'm not gonna say that all of his advice is good because some of it is not something.
Is he the one who hates Monk?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Yeah,
who
maybe
you're
it's someone
talking
else.
about. He doesn't
D&D
talk about his
one.
personal beliefs in D&D. He just talks
Yeah,
about
okay,
the
no, it's a
roleplay
different person
advice.
then. Yeah, damn. There's someone else then. I wish someone who just like you just dies in the dimension of monk. I find it very funny. It's like too bad.
Yeah, but my general advice is look at advice. You have a problem and you don't know how to fix it, look up, see if somebody else has an answer. If the answer's not satisfactory, don't take that advice.
Yeah, if the entirety, like, listen here, and plus, we don't know shit, we're just two people. Like, Greytower was fun. Greytower was amazing to me. Greytower was definitely one of the highlights. I also really, like, other areas, like, later in the game, I also absolutely adored. And I'm not bitter about the fact we didn't go through my backstory. It was just, like, a great campaign. It was fun.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Have
it's
fun.
the reason I started to DM Meteor's Heart. You're literally the reason why I DM a game.
I don't like that. That is why. I think that you should have better role models, but I appreciate it.
I was literally, when I started the game, I was like, I hope I get to be as good as Lilith.
And I'm just sitting here like, oh god, he has no fucking idea. I'm just making shit up.
Oh my god, he's fucked. He's throwing himself to the wolves. And
he's like, how do I do this? And I'm like, oh, do I tell him that I just make fucking everything up?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is as every DM, I started doing that because I realized there's no real way. That's
and
why
it's
I always
hard to tell people that is literally what you have to do.
It's like, what do you do? And like, you just look at them and disappear. Like, that's what I tell to, like, I have another friend who wants to start a campaign, and I just told her, like, make stuff that you can't make on the fly and nothing else. Just know what you want. That's it.
Yeah. The only the reason why the stuff I make, why I got so good at that is because I ran D&D throughout all of high school, after high school, while I was working full time, and like, that's the only reason why I'm as good as improving as I am, is because I spent the entirety of my most busy years of my life figuring it out.
Yeah.
Is you gotta have that practice in it in the first place, and it's sometimes you just play D&D when you're in a situation where you probably fucking shouldn't.
AKA, the first time I ever played D&D was 3.5. I was 14, and that was the first time I ever played, and that was the DM.
Oh my god.
It lasted one session.
Oh god.
It was bad. Because I had a player immediately lone wolf it.
My first campaign I actually finished. It was 3 sessions long, and they did it. They did the adventure.
I have to admit, I basically never DM'd a game that had like an overarching story until Meteor's Heart. It was always just, y'all meet in a tavern. Here's a mission for y'all. And then it never went further because it immediately failed because the people I played with were just not reliable.
Yeah. Whenever the Fable Few stuff, I run the Fable Few, in case you didn't know.
You will, because it'll be an ad.
Regarding, like, whenever the Fable Few D&D show, like, the actual campaign, because we're having a one-off release soon. That's a very tentative soon. Whenever we actually get our campaign set up and releasing, that's actually going to be a remake of my first ever D&D campaign.
God, I want to play it just to experience.
This is the second time I've remade that D&D campaign.
It's your Rise of the Runelord Anniversary Edition.
I don't know what that is.
It's the first ever Pathfinder campaign module that got reworked, and I'm currently playing through it.
Sure. I guess that makes sense. I don't know anything about.
I was hoping you'd be like,
about.
Yeah, dude. Never mind.
I don't know anything about Pathfinder. I know D&D 5e. That's my system. That's all I know. That's all I care to know.
Can't believe you.
I'm busy. I don't have time to read books.
I don't even know how to read. You think I have time to know how to read?
I haven't opened my D&D books in a year.
Oh my god, what do you do? What are you doing?
I haven't run D&D for a long time.
Damn. Meanwhile, I still suffer every single week.
But yeah, subscribe to the Fable Few. We're doing a D&D show in the future. Don't subscribe and unsubscribe, please. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Just that was just like the plea of like, please don't go. But yeah,
go.
absolutely check out. I will absolutely have done an ad at this point, which will tell everyone to fucking subscribe to your channel because it's amazing and I fucking adore y'all's content.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm
yeah,
sure you'll
just
be linking
again,
it in the description.
Of course. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. It was amazing. We stayed on track the whole time and talked only about Greytower and go like a million directions and nothing else. And hopefully it's our slogan. Listen here, derailing is our job. Yours is to bear through it. But thank you all for joining, and thank you again, Lily, for joining me. I'm very glad that you accompanied me on this first guest episode. And
of course. And Jurian, you better fucking draw my character really good or I'll hate you forever. Goodbye.